What really happens to the soul in the first 40 days after death? Edgar Cayce, the legendary prophet known as the Sleeping Prophet, revealed profound insights that challenge everything we thought we knew about the afterlife. If you've ever been curious about what lies beyond, if you've lost someone you love and wondered where they are now, or if you're seeking answers beyond the boundaries of religion or science, stay with us. What you're about to hear might shake your beliefs, but it could also bring deep peace to your heart. This video will take you on the soul's journey after leaving the body, how it detaches from the physical form, reviews its entire life, encounters spiritual guides, and makes choices that shape its destiny. You'll discover how love, regret, and awareness create the afterlife experience, and why the decisions we make every day directly influence what happens when we cross over. If you've ever grieved a loved one or wondered what awaits us beyond, this video will speak to your soul and touch you in ways you may never forget. Now, take a deep breath and prepare yourself to step into one of the most mysterious and sacred truths Edgar Cayce ever revealed. What happens to the soul in the first 40 days after death? According to Cayce, the instant the soul leaves the body, everything changes, yet nothing ends. The heart grows still. The breath fades into silence. But your awareness? It doesn't disappear. In fact, it becomes more alive than ever before. Cayce described this as a moment of profound awakening, a shift from physical consciousness into a deeper, more penetrating state of being. You're no longer bound to flesh and bone, yet you can still see the room. You can still hear your loved ones weeping. You feel their sorrow echo through the space, but you can't touch them, and they can't feel you. Cayce said that in those first moments, the soul enters what he called a strange limbo, a threshold between worlds. It knows it has separated from the body, but it hasn't fully embraced the spiritual realm. This transition is filled with flashes of memory, questions, and a deep reckoning with the life just lived. The soul's first task isn't to travel anywhere, it's to see itself. Cayce explained that almost immediately, the soul begins to review its life, not as a list of events, but as a chain of emotions and intentions. You feel every act of kindness as if giving it again. You feel every moment of harm you caused as if receiving it yourself. It's not judgment from an outside force. It's your higher self holding up a perfect mirror. This part of you is free from ego, illusion, or excuse. It sees the truth of your life exactly as it was. For some souls, this realization is profoundly peaceful. For others, it can be terrifying. During the first 3 days, Cayce said the soul stays near the body, not out of choice, but necessity. It's part of the natural detachment process. Like waking from a vivid dream, it takes time to realize you're no longer bound to the physical. You may hover near the place of death, observe the funeral, or feel the waves of emotion from those you left behind. Many souls, Cayce said, try to communicate during this time. They want to say goodbye, to comfort, to explain. But quickly, they learn a painful truth. Most people can't hear them with their ears. Only those who are deeply intuitive or emotionally attuned may sense their presence. That sudden chill, that wave of emotion at a funeral. According to Cayce, it's not imagination. It's the soul making one last attempt to reach through the veil. Then, as the first 72 hours pass, something begins to shift. A pull, gentle but undeniable, draws the soul upward. Spiritual guides begin to appear, not strangers, but familiar energies. These are souls you've known in past lives, or higher beings you've touched in spiritual realms. Their presence feels like home. Their message is simple and profound. You are not alone. By the 4th day, the soul begins its passage into what Cayce described as the intermediate plane, a dimension between the earthly and the heavenly. Here, there is no punishment and no throne of judgment. Instead, there is guidance. Cayce said this plane reflects the soul's own vibration, creating a reality that matches its inner truth. If you lived with kindness, growth, and love, the world you awaken into radiates light and peace. But if your life was ruled by hatred, greed, or cruelty, the environment you meet mirrors those energies back to you. Not as punishment, but as reflection, an unflinching opportunity to see the reality you created. And this is only the beginning. Cayce emphasized that the first 40 days after death are a sacred window, a time when the soul transitions, learns, and prepares for what comes next. It is not an ending. It is a passage, a bridge between worlds. So, take another breath. Imagine that moment of awakening. Imagine the love, the clarity, the reunion that awaits. According to Edgar Cayce, death is not the closing of a door, but the opening of the one we have been searching for all along. Cayce emphasized that these early days are not about heaven or hell. They are about awareness. The soul begins to understand itself in a way it never could while on earth. Layers of illusion peel away. You can't lie to yourself here. You can't blame others. You are face to face with your essence. Some souls are shocked by what they see. Others feel liberated. Between the 5th and 10th day, another transformation begins. The soul starts encountering other spirits, some familiar, some not. These are not ghosts. They are conscious entities traveling their own spiritual paths. Conversations don't happen with words, but with thought. Telepathic communication, Cayce said, is the universal language of the afterlife. In this realm, everything is energy. Your emotions, your thoughts, your memories, they are visible. They create your surroundings. So if you carry guilt, it becomes part of your environment. If you carry love, it surrounds you like light. It's here that many souls begin to learn their first great lesson, that consciousness creates reality. Cayce warned that some souls get stuck here. They hold on to regret. They obsess over unfinished business. They refuse to forgive. These souls can remain in this intermediate plane for years, sometimes decades, until they choose to release their attachments. But for others, the journey continues. Between day 11 and day 20, the soul often receives what Cayce called a calling. It's not a sound, it's a deep inner knowing, a pull toward a place of learning. This is where the soul begins to understand the structure of the spiritual world. It enters what many have described as the Hall of Records, or the Temple of Learning. Cayce claimed these are not myths. They are actual places in the spiritual dimension accessible to souls ready to grow. Here, the soul meets beings of great wisdom, elders, teachers, guides who radiate compassion and power. They are not there to punish, they are there to reveal. The soul is shown visions, past lives, choices, missed opportunities, hidden strengths. This is not about making the soul feel guilty. It's about helping it understand its path, why it was born, what it achieved, and what still remains to be done. Cayce believed that many souls choose to reincarnate after this stage, not because they are forced to, but because they realize they still have work to do. As the days progress into the 3rd week after death, something profound begins to unfold. The soul, now more conscious of its essence and purpose, starts to remember not just the life it just left, but other lifetimes. According to Cayce, the soul is eternal, and in this stage, the veil thins. Memories from previous incarnations rise to the surface, not in random fragments, but with purpose. The soul begins to see how every life is interconnected, how choices made hundreds of years ago still ripple into the present. For some souls, this is overwhelming. They realize they have repeated the same lessons over and over. Others feel a rush of clarity, as if the puzzle pieces of existence finally fit together. There's a sense of divine design. Nothing was by accident. No relationship, no suffering, no joy. It all had meaning. And for the first time, the soul sees the full arc of its evolution. This brings either peace or a deep desire for redemption. Cayce said this is the point where many souls make a sacred vow to return and correct what they couldn't before. By day 30, the soul reaches a plateau. It is no longer lost, no longer searching. It begins to feel ready to move forward, ready to rise. But there's one last step, one last mirror. Cayce described it as the encounter with the higher self, a radiant, divine version of you that has always existed beyond time. This self is not your ego, it's not your personality. It is the purest expression of your soul's essence. Meeting it is not like looking into a reflection. It's like coming home. For some, this meeting is brief. For others, it is the most transformative moment in their spiritual existence. The higher self speaks without words. It shows you who you truly are, not who you were on earth, but who you've always been. And it gives you a choice. Stay in the spiritual realm and continue learning, or return to earth with a renewed mission. Cayce emphasized that nothing is forced. The soul always chooses. In the final days of this 40-day journey, most souls have made their choice. Those who remain in the spiritual world often enter what Cayce called the soul group, a community of spirits who evolve together, lifetime after lifetime. This group serves as your spiritual family. You've known them before. You'll know them again. Some were your parents, some were your children. Others were strangers who showed up at the exact moment you needed them. It's not coincidence, it's design. The soul begins to understand that love, not knowledge, is the ultimate currency of the universe. Everything else, power, success, even pain, fades. But love remains. That love becomes the bridge to the next phase. Whether that phase is rest, rebirth, or ascension depends on the soul's evolution. But by day 40, the journey that began in silence and confusion ends in clarity. The soul is no longer afraid. It is no longer alone. It knows. Once the 40th day arrives, something shifts permanently in the soul's energetic structure. It's as if a door closes and another one silently opens. Edgar Cayce emphasized that by this point, the soul has either aligned itself with its next phase of growth or remained in a cycle of confusion, still attached to earthly concerns. But for the souls who have made peace with their departure, who've faced their truth, embraced their past, and reconnected with their divine essence, the journey takes a deeply peaceful turn. Cayce referred to this state as spiritual attunement. It's a frequency that the soul locks into, and from here, it can ascend to higher realms, return to earth with a greater mission, or even remain as a guide for other souls just beginning the journey. These aren't fantasies. According to Cayce, these roles are very real, and they are chosen. Not all souls return to earth. Some stay in service of others, helping family members, guiding those lost in grief, or working in what Cayce described as realms of healing and restoration, places where souls broken by trauma receive comfort and spiritual repair. One of the most powerful messages from Cayce is this: death is not the end, and neither is the 40th day. It's a checkpoint, a spiritual milestone. Just like a child graduates from one level of school to the next, the soul moves into its next phase with more awareness, more purpose, and more light. But Cayce also warned that this journey is not automatic. Our experiences after death are shaped entirely by the way we live now. If we ignore the soul, chase only material things, and refuse to reflect, we arrive unprepared, lost, confused. But if we live with intention, seek spiritual growth, serve others, and listen to our conscience, we awaken ready to learn, ready to forgive, ready to rise. This is why Cayce spent so many years warning humanity to prepare not just for death, but for life after death. Because the real journey doesn't start when the heart stops. It starts the moment we become conscious of our soul. So what does this mean for you right now? It means every thought matters. Every act of love, every time you forgive, every time you choose kindness over anger. These are not small gestures. They are the bricks that build your path beyond this life. When you leave this world, and one day you will, you won't take your money. You won't take your titles. You'll take only what you built inside. That's what meets you in the first 40 days. That's what becomes your reality. So start preparing now. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Cayce believed that we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And the more we understand that, the less afraid we are to die, and the more fully we begin to live. Now that you know what happens to the soul in those sacred 40 days, the question is, what are you doing today that your soul will thank you for tomorrow? If this message moved you, drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear your perspective, and if your comment adds something valuable, we'll give it a heart to show our appreciation. Help this channel grow by subscribing and turning on notifications so you never miss a video. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Your interaction helps us spread these messages of light. Remember, death is not the end. It's just the beginning of something far greater. Let's take a moment to reflect even deeper. Imagine someone you loved has passed away. You stood at their funeral, you cried, you prayed. But maybe you also wondered, where are they now? What are they feeling? Are they at peace? Cayce's revelations offer not just comfort, but a profound answer to that question. Your loved one, in their own unique way, walked through this same 40-day path. They reviewed their life. They saw you. They remembered moments you might have forgotten. They felt your love in the room when their body was still. And if they were ready, if they were open to growth, they were greeted by guides, healed from regrets, and led into the light of understanding. The dead are not gone, not in the way we think. They are simply walking a path we have yet to walk, a path that one day will welcome us to. That's why the teachings of Edgar Cayce matter so much. They remind us that life is bigger than flesh, that love continues, and that what we do today echoes beyond this life. Now imagine yourself, many years from now, reaching your own final moment. You take your last breath, and in that stillness, you awaken. You begin to see the faces of those who once left before you. You hear their thoughts, you feel their presence. You are no longer afraid, because you understand what's happening, because you've prepared. You know that this is the beginning of the soul's journey, not its end. You step into the mirror of your life with grace. You accept, you forgive, you rise. That's the power of awareness. That's the gift of this knowledge. It's not just information, it's transformation. The more we learn, the more we expand. And when we expand, we begin to live with a new kind of courage. A courage that whispers, you are more than this body. You are eternal. So if this message sparked something in you, if it made you think differently about life, death, or the soul, don't let it fade. Carry it with you. Let it shape your choices. Let it deepen your compassion. And please help others hear it too. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell so you don't miss what's coming next, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts, your questions, your experiences. We read everyone, and if your words add something valuable, we'll mark it with a heart. We want to sincerely thank you for taking the time to watch the video in its entirety. If you're interested in exploring more topics on spirituality, inner transformation, or mind philosophy, don't forget to subscribe to the Top Hidden Knowledge channel for more content on wisdom, spirituality, and personal growth. Or, if you have time, check out other videos on this channel. Until next time.